Hey, my name is Matt Williams. I am a Los Angeles-based filmmaker, and I decided to make a podcast called Dying to Shoot with a friend of mine. He is a Chicago-based filmaker.
My name's Adam Biley.
You're too late. You're too late. You missed your cue.
You already described me too, so what am I going to say now?
I don't know. You're a Chicago-based something or other.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know. What do you do?
No, I'm Adam Biley. I'm a Chicago-based filmmaker, but Matt already said that. So I'm an alcoholic.
Wow, we really suck at this intro
my
thing.
name's Adam.
Here's the
I'm
fucking
an
show.
Alcoholic.
In 2010? Summer 2010, was it?
Yeah.
That long ago?
I think it was... Wait, it was during the summer, right? Yeah.
It definitely was during the summer.
So it must have been the summer between because I remember I was working at the bar already, so I was at least 21. I turned 21 the beginning of my junior year of college, so it was between junior year and senior year, summer. I graduated in June of 2011, so yeah, it had to be summer of 2010 then. Yeah.
Yeah. So summer 2010, I was like, I want to do a documentary. Musical documentary road trip, not a musical, but like a music video documentary road trip. That would be very different.
That's what I was thinking of.
I was like, so I call up Adam and I call up my other friend Ivan, and we have to have him on one time so that you and I just like me and him, we can
more
always talk and everything.
More than one time, but
yeah, for sure,
at least, yeah.
So we all went on a road trip. Just touring up and down the East Coast, finding different bands that were really cool. And this one band that we found in Georgia that was called Esme and then called iRival was like one of our, but it was personally and I think we all kind of connected with them the most. Like one of my favorite bands that we worked with.
Yeah.
So that's the guy who did our intro and all. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about something. We were talking in the intro. God.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, well, I mean, we kind of touched on that road trip or whatever, but I was just curious if you were gonna want to go into more detail about that, because I feel like that was a defining moment, at least for me, with our whole video. We were all about it. We were like, it was a good bonding experience, and then we were at each other's throats again. And it was
I did kind of just skim over that, didn't I?
Yeah, because you're talking about, so in 2010, we did this big thing where we went on the road, just me, Adam, and Ivan. And yeah, so now, back to another story. I'm like, wait, what? But that was a fucking big story.
So, you start off telling what you remember from it, because what you remember from it is basically where it started, because I was like,
yeah,
I have this idea. I want to do this road trip. Let's fucking do it, period. And
right.
And then I called you and I was like, we should do this. So where did it kind of start at for you? What's kind of the first thing you kind of remember from that?
I remember us talking about it for a while, where it was just
I don't remember that.
Like, I mean, like loosely, just the idea of like going out, because I remember that one of our other friends from where we all met, NIFA in LA, was originally going to be on board, where it was going to be the four of us. So that's why I remember it was...
Power?
Yeah, okay. I wasn't going to name names, but all right. I mean, no, it's fine. It worked out, I think, the best it could have anyways. I don't know how we would have been able to fit an extra person in that fucking car.
No, it wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have fucking worked. But anyways, so I remember that. And then I remember, just the general concept of it, and then just me being at a weird crossroad, because I had to move out of one apartment into the next.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Because it was literally my like last day that the lease was up, and it was funny because the apartment. So anyone who knows anything about Chicago, anyone else, this is meaningless. But I lived on an apartment off of Sheffield, and I moved to an apartment off of Halsted. Literally only a block north of each other, and then if you know where Sheffield and Halsted are, they're not that. Halsted is just a little bit east of Sheffield, so it's literally like it's a fucking 5-minute walk, right? That's all I had to move, but it's just all the shit and all that. It was just a big ordeal, and I remember you and Ivan were leaving, like a couple days before I was supposed to move out. and I couldn't move out sooner because the other apartment wasn't free to move into yet, you know? 'Cause
Right.
that's how everything fucking works in the city. It's everyone moves out this day and then people move in the next day. It's like you have a 2-day window to move or a 1-day window, you know? It's like you either move on that fucking day or you don't, you know? And so I remember you guys were initially upset that I couldn't go with you at the beginning, and I was upset with myself that, like, because I was really anxious. And I remember the first show you got, and after I finished, you got go into more detail because I wasn't there on the fucking Boston show, right? Big D and the Kids Table, the fucking ska band.
Which
So
ended up going on their fucking DVD too.
Yeah. So go into that next, but right before that, I had the one camera that it was funny. We weren't even into recording audio separately. Like that's so funny of a concept now. Thinking about it, it's like that's how new to the whole thing we were. It was like, well, why wouldn't the fucking microphone be part of the What are we supposed to sync this up ourselves? That's
Well, it was
insane.
but it was from that show that we did for my brother's next band he had, A Hero Named Hope. They played at the Metro. You remember that?
Yeah,
or was
yeah.
it, or is it House of Blues? I can't remember which one it was.
We did a show at the Metro and we did a show at House of Blues. I remember. Yeah, I remember both of those.
No, I don't remember which one was his.
I think the Metro might have been the one that we.
Yeah. Anyway, so we did that show, and I tried to dial in my audio settings the best that I could, but they were fucked. And then I looked at your audio, what you had, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!" And you had the XL2, Canon XL2, like and straight up DV tape and everything, shoulder cam,
really old school, yeah.
Old school, but like at the time, it was like this is the latest, greatest, best thing, like. That was awesome.
Well, I didn't really know shit about DSLRs. Like, the only thing I knew about was you had Nikons, which I was thinking more about for photography.
Well,
it's
that's
funny.
what it was. Yeah, that's what it was all about, too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to get into doing music videos. I want to get into making videos and stuff. How do I do it? Well, I learned photography in trial by fire. Like, really, when I did Warped Tour, I was like, I just begged a band to let me go into, like, get me a press pass for every day. And I just followed him around. I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do the same thing, except we'll make our own tour." And so that was like just about learning video again for me, because I had just been doing photos for the last like 4 years or so. But yeah, but the difference between the DSLR and your XL2, it was like we were both kind of like surprised at it. Like I don't think either of us really knew what to think.
Well, I didn't really even know anything about I didn't know about the 7D or the 5D, I knew that you had your Nikon and I knew you came from the photography world. So I thought that was a photography camera that you were just trying to force into shooting video.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I guess it was for Nikon, because Nikon is in general more known towards stills and Canon's now become video, I guess. But I didn't even think about, Canon has DSLRs now that they look like, they are like photography cameras.
Sure.
But a lot of people use them for video.
Mm-hmm.
That whole mindset, or like that look of a camera, I was just so young and I didn't think about it. So
no, dude, because I think 2010, I don't even know if the 5D Mark II was out at that point.
Yeah, And also, it was just like, what did I have exposure to being able to rent? Not even like what was out. It was like, what did my school have? And they definitely wouldn't have the fucking newest thing.
Right.
You know? Or they would, but they wouldn't give it to fucking everyone. My school had got the red cameras, I think my senior year, which was only like, 2010, 11. But you had to take special classes. You had to like suck professors' dicks and like all that shit to be able to handle one.
I remember you talking about that, and you were just like, "Dude, my school, they got red cameras in." I'm like, "That's awesome." And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What do you have to do to like get one of them?" And all. You're like, "Oh, you have to do a whole bunch."
But it's.
I was like, and we were both just like, "Yeah, it's not worth it. Fuck it."
Well, everyone was shitting on it because they're like, "Yeah, red cameras are awesome," but thanks for fucking spending all these thousands of dollars on something that the majority of the student body, or fuck the student body, majority of the fucking film majors aren't going to be able to have access to, you know?
Right,
So it's
right.
what's the fucking point? But that's when then the DSLRs got more popular, because it was like, hey, here are like really nice cameras that don't cost, you know, still cost a decent amount of money, but don't cost that much fucking money.
Yeah. Yep. I was correct. On March 2nd, 2012, Canon put out the 5D Mark II. So the Mark II wasn't even out at that point.
Until 2012?
2012.
Shit. So that means like even the Mark I was probably not that fucking old.
2008 was the Mark I.
Okay.
So I mean that was out,
years.
but I don't. The Mark I didn't do like HD video or anything like that. It was a still camera. And
yeah, more people, they weren't using it towards video.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the D300S was just like, I had the D300 and I was like, I can't do video. The D300S can do video, and the price point between them was like $200 difference. And I was like, fuck it, I got to find a way. So I just sold that and then got a D300S and went with that. But it had things on it that were like automatic ISO that you just couldn't shut off, and it just like it just killed the look. You just couldn't use it for like making an actual film, because like you go anywhere the light changes, the image completely changes. You know, so and that was that. But I mean, it was a damn good learning experience for all of us. So I mean, I remember the last time I saw you before you flew out to Baltimore. Was when we went to McGee's and we grabbed the camera.
That's what I was getting at too. Yeah. And also what you touched on about like the little that we do, like that's why I really equate those fucking 2 weeks. That was like my fucking film school. You know, like I mean, I'm so glad I went to Paul, so I got the degree so that a company would hire me, and I learned a little basics. But overall, like I learned a lot more on those 2 weeks. But yeah, so. The bottom thing was, you guys wanted me at the beginning because I had the camera that could at least, you know, record audio. You know, that was a thing.
Well, don't go that far. I mean, we wanted you because we wanted you to be there.
Oh, no. I know. Well, I know you guys wanted me to be there, but I'm saying, like, why it was a fucking necessity was because I had that thing of equipment. And then I remember, like, seeing you guys, and I was fucking working at McGee's, and I had the camera, and I handed it off to you guys, and I was just, like, I was so bummed that I couldn't fucking go with you, but I was at least, like, well, at least I have this for them, you know, to take. Right. So that, like, it was like I was halfway there, you know?
Right.
And then because like I couldn't go out on so it was a road trip, you know, as the three of us were on the road together, but obviously since you guys left before me, because that was when the Big D concert was before I was able to make it out there, so that's why you guys had to leave there earlier. I had to take the one-way ticket. I think it's the only time I've ever had a one-way flight too, because I was like, you know, driving back obviously the rest of the way. To Baltimore. It was like, so you guys went to Boston, and then I rendezvoused with you in Baltimore. We hung out with your grandparents and stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah, it was a nice place to be able to lay low at for a little bit and just like sleep for a little while. You know, 'cause you were tired as hell too, because what happened with when you were moving? Like some shit happened when you were moving.
Well, it was just oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So our fucking friend Tim. Also, you might. You're fucking. So.
It's a horrible time to take a drink of water.
Yeah, so you might come to know him later on because he was the co-author of this web series I'm working on called Freebooters. We'll touch on that on a later show. But anyways, Tim has been a best friend of mine, and we've known each other for a long time. And like similar to with you, like Tim and I have had amazing conversations, really good philosophical conversations, and then also been wanting to like fucking kill each other. So those are like that's
in
sort
a
of like
way. In a way, I think that's kind of healthy.
I
somehow.
know it is, because otherwise you're fucking, because everyone gets upset with people, right? So otherwise you're just fucking fake if you're just like, oh no, that's fine, that doesn't bother me, and then you're just passive aggressive and stuff. Where at least we're just like, no, fuck you, man, that's bullshit, but it's real. So anyways, long history short, Tim is I call him my hipster buddy. He lives in Logan Square with, again, anyone who knows anything about Chicago, that's like the hipster neighborhood west of like Lincoln Park, whatever. So anyways, me and my roommate at the time, who were moving out of the Sheffield apartment to the Halstead apartment, we're fucking cheap broke asses. So we asked our friend Tim, who like had his parents' van, if he could help us out moving. So, so he actually was being a good guy. He was just trying to help us out. He didn't fucking have to. So he's like, you know what? I'll come and help you guys move. I'm not going to charge you anything because you're friends, right? They're like, oh, thank you, Tim. And then he comes in. He parks the car in our back little area, which is right by an alley. Walks upstairs.
No, he put the flashers on too, and
he put the fucking
right?
flashers on too. Yeah. And then in about 5 minutes, I was still like asleep because I think I was hungover from drinking the night before. So I didn't even know that Tim showed up yet. I didn't even know like he was hanging out in our apartment, which I think was only for about 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden I wake up to like, oh, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, well, Tim came to help us move and now his van's towed. So, and like and these fucking idiots just.
Didn't he? I thought you said he left it running too.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure he left it running and the flashes on. He just came upstairs for like a quick 5 minutes to basically just let us know that he was here and just to like, meet and greet, whatever. And because we always, our apartment was like the place to hang out at, so we always had like a few people over. And so he would, talk into all the various people, and then his fucking van got towed. So then my roommate of that place and then my roommate of the next place, we were moving together to the next apartment, Jesse, had to fucking pay for the Tim to get his vehicle like unimpounded or whatever, and they had to fucking go down there to get the fucking van, right? So like, and already, so you're like, because Tim was kind of lazy, as we all were, and I still can't fault him because he was helping us out because he was a friend, but he was showing up late. Like, we're like, okay, we have until the end of the day to move. Tim fucking shows up, like, he could have showed up in the morning, right? He shows up late afternoon, and then his fucking car gets towed, and then we have to go get it without a car. We have to fucking take the L and all this bullshit. So by the time...
In his defense... You were passed out drunk.
Oh, no, I know. I know. Like, it fucked up. Yeah, exactly. But my point was, we already were starting the move later than most normal human beings would start a move. Like, if you have... So that's the last day, or the only day, because like I said, it's not just when your last day in that apartment is, it's also when the first day of the next apartment is. So it's like a 1 day overlap. It's like you have 1 day to move out of this apartment to move in the next one. And so we started the fucking day already at like 4 o'clock, right? When more normal people would probably start at like 10 a.m. or earlier. So we started at 4, then his fucking thing got towed, then we had to get it, all this shit. We were basically, then we had to move all of our shit, and there was so much stuff that was going on because both me and my roommate were moving out of that one apartment. So we would load up Tim's van, but then there'd still be extra stuff. And since, like I said, Sheffield to Halstead was only a 5-minute walk, we would also be carrying loads. So we would be walking and carrying like 50 pounds worth of boxes from Sheffield to Halstead while the other crew was moving the shit in the van. Whatever. This whole fucking thing took forever. And I was also starting to see this girl that like I really, really liked. I was like friend zoned at the time. And like we started like kind of going out. And so it was just like a bunch of weird fucking shit happening at once, Yeah. Whereas like there's like, so then I was with this girl. and moving shit and the fucking toad thing. And so we didn't fucking finish moving till probably like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or whatever. And I think I had like a really early ass flight in the morning the next day.
Yeah, because you flew in it was about 10 o'clock in the morning from Chicago, which means that was about...
And it was an hour, it's Eastern time, right, in Baltimore?
Yeah,
so it's even an hour earlier.
Right.
When I left, or whatever. So
that's how it started off.
Yeah. So that was how, so I started off with no fucking, like, I was moving and shit, and you guys had the show and stuff, or whatever, so we both had, like, crazy-ass days the day before, and little to no sleep. And I remember, like, when you got me from the airport, you were, like, really tired. And,
I was barely alive.
And Ivan didn't even come to the airport because Ivan was sleeping on, like, a chair at your grandparents' place. I remember when I first showed up, and they're like, oh, yeah, and there's Ivan. And Ivan's like, like that. And I was like, okay, well, it sounds like it's been an interesting adventure. And that's when you showed me the footage of Boston and the Big D and the Kids table, private, or not private necessarily, but basement, some random fan, right? It was just like a guy who's a fan. So go into that, because I just know from an outsider.
Yeah, so I talked to Dave. So when I started doing photos, I did them for a while. I went through, basically took every class that I could at McHenry County College. I kind of sucked at black and white film photography. But as soon as, for some reason, I don't know why, but as soon as I got a digital camera in my hand, I showed it, like, what I was working on to my teacher, and he was like, this is actually good. He's like, I wouldn't, like, if I had anything planned out for the day today, I wouldn't have taken the time to check out your work, because it's just, I'm sorry, Matt, but it's really just not that good. He's like, but this is pretty good. And I'm like, okay, I have something here. I was like, so we'll do this tour, or I'll go follow Warped Tour and everything. And I messaged every band on Warped Tour in 2007, every band. And only 2 bands got back to me. One was Yellow Card, and they were like, sorry, we already have a photographer set up. We really appreciate the offer and everything. I hope you find somebody you can do it with, and all. I'm nice about it and all. But the other band was Big D and the Kids Table. And I had done photos for them. I was seeing this girl kind of in high school, who was like super into ska and punk and stuff, and she's like, there's this band called Big D and the Kids Table, they're playing at this place called Clearwater. And I'm like, oh, right on, yeah, that's a shitty venue, but whatever. So we're gonna go, and then she was like, oh shit, something came up, I can't make it. I was like, all right, well, don't worry about it. And then I wasn't planning on going, and then I was trying to do like a freelancing thing before I even knew what freelancing was. And I contacted this one metal band, and I had really no interest in doing metal band shoots or anything. But they're like, yeah, we're playing at Clearwater. I was like, okay, $60. I'll give you guys at least like 80 photos to work with. And they're like, that's great. Yeah, sure. And so I show up there, and I switched the dates up. I got the dates wrong. And the date that I ended up showing up was when Big D and the Kids Table was playing. And so that was my first time I had ever gotten to kind of meet them and all. And so I did a bunch of photos for them. I had a camera. That's the amazing thing about when you have a camera and you can just walk in anywhere because you've got a camera and a flash. Like if you have a camera and a flash and you just look like you're on a fucking mission, you can walk in most places and nobody will say shit to you. So that's what I did. And I did those photos, and so I hit them up, and they're like, oh, yeah, we kind of remember you, which they probably definitely did not. And I was like, right on. I was like, so can I do this? And they're like, sure. And so my plan was, well, that kind of worked out for photos. I'll do the same thing with video. But we stayed in contact. I did Warped Tour 2007, 2009, and I think 2011, I think you and I did a show that they did in Tinley Park. You, me, and Josh.
We did a Warped Tour
Yeah,
show.
that was a Warped Tour show. I think it was 2011.
Yeah.
So we had been doing that, And we stayed in contact here and there. And every now and then I would hop on their bus and just ride around, just do photos with them for free because I needed to have a decent portfolio. Because I was like, I'm just going to be a band photographer. I guess that's what I'm going to be. And so when I messaged him, I was like, dude, we're going to be doing this tour going up and down the East Coast. But I was thinking about, would you guys want to do like a house show? I was like, would you guys want to do like a show where, you know, it's just you guys the way it used to be? The band's been together for 17 years. And they started out in college in Berkeley and Boston. And they got a great story about how they started and everything. And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. We can do something like that. And then next time I talked to him, it was like, oh no, we booked a venue. We're gonna do an actual show. I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. Something happened with the venue that got canceled, and they moved it to. They were like, you know what? Yeah, we'll do it at some kid's house or something like that. And it was just like a last resort, really, is what it was. And then right before the show was going to start, about 6 hours before the show was going to start, cops found out, because people were talking on Facebook, there's going to be a massive fucking Big D and Kid Stables playing this house, and like it was just getting really big, and they had like a ton of people on the site and all, and they're like, okay, look, we can't do this, but we're going to move it to this other house, and when we move it to the other house, nobody can talk about it. Nobody can say shit about it. Nobody can. So every time that somebody was like, hey, there's a show going on, Big D and Kid Stables playing, it's going to be at this house, do not talk about it to anybody, like on the internet at all. And so we're like, well, we'll see who turns out. And so two little bands kind of played before they got up there. And I mean, this basement was probably about 1,000 square feet, maybe. And it was definitely like early turn of the century home too. So I mean, it was a shady place to be at, for sure, especially to be having a show, because I mean, you could just feel the walls shaking when they were playing. So they're playing the show, and I've got my 5D. I'm shooting, like I'm up. There's no differentiation between where the stage ends and where the kids are at, just moshing like crazy. And so every now and then I'm jumping up on the stage. I'm in the pit with my camera filming, and at the same time I'm like, this is fucking awesome. At the same time I'm just like, I could wreck my camera right now, and just terrified.
And my camera, which you just had down there to record the audio, like it had like a really cool part where it showed like the fucking intense situation, because they're shooting outward at you, where you're like up here like filming, and then there's kids just like moshing right behind you, and you're getting like pushed by them right up to the and you had like literally no fucking wiggle room. It was just like,
there really wasn't.
You're here, the band's right in front of you, and then the fucking kids are moshing right behind you. And then I fucking loved that one scene where, like, the kid who I guess, like, lived at the house or whatever, like, came down and goes, like, there's cops outside, or, like, there's cops nearby, like, everyone needs to shut up. Like, he's trying to get everything under control. Yeah. And it's just, like, like, there's no getting that shit under control at that point.
There's not, because
he was so worried,
it wasn't even that the like, cops might be coming or some shit like that, or they think they know something. There are 5 fucking cop cars parked outside this house right now. You need to shut the fuck up. We're trying to like chill out the situation. It's like, all right, we'll chill out. We'll be back in like we'll be back in 10 minutes, guys. And it's like, no, just like everyone's miserable. Like, fuck, that can't happen at all.
And the best part was when like Dave like takes a moment to stop and goes, "You are all going to be arrested," and everyone's like, "Woo!" And he goes, "No, that's not okay." Like, he's like, "No, shut up, you idiots!" Cool. Like, that's not cool. They're all like, "Yeah!" Like, oh man, you got some really funny fucking footage though of like the human condition. You know, like it's like so funny. Like the lead singer is trying to like rationalize, like, "Hey, let's keep this on the down low, guys. We got a good thing going. We don't like, and like, meanwhile, like all the dumb, like fucking 16-year-old suburbanites of Boston are like, yeah, getting arrested, that'll be fucking cool. Like, it's just like, oh god, you guys just don't get it, man.
Yeah. But then, so eventually, we had stayed cool for like a little bit, like just long enough to where the cops were like, okay, well, it's got to end. Party's got to end. Or they're like, okay, party's ending, it's over. It's like, okay. And then after that, it's like five or 10 minutes later, like it is just like they're just rocking out as hard as they can again. And I mean, it is literally everybody is soaked with sweat because it's like it's not like there's any like windows or a door that like opens up anywhere or anything. There's no ventilation. It's just sweat dripping off the ceiling. And then the power goes out and it's completely dark. And the coolest fucking thing happened is they were doing this song. It wasn't Steady Riot. I can't remember which one it was. They were doing this song and everybody just kept singing along after the power went out. So it is pitch black in the basement. Nobody can see a fucking thing. And the song's still continuing with all the kids like yelling out the lyrics and just like keeping it in time. And the drums are still playing and all. Power comes back on. They rock out for one or two more songs. And then, bam, cops start coming down. Just start coming down. And it wasn't a bunch of them or anything. But it was enough to be like, oh, fuck, it's time to go. And because they were going to, that was August 1st that we filmed that. And they were leaving to Europe for their European tour on August 3rd. And when, the only reason I remember that specifically is because if they got arrested, there was no way that they were going to be making the tour. Like, it was just not going to happen. Yeah, so
they really took, like, why did they decide to do that fucking basement? Like, what was in it for them? You know, like they had so much to lose.
Fucking show and an extra disc on a DVD. So
that's cool though. That's like just what they're all about is doing those. I guess that's like kind of what ska is though, right? It's like it's kind of like improvisational, right? Because it's got a bunch of different types of
but it's
instruments. God,
yeah.
I can't even fucking think of it.
No, it's late where you're at, dude. It's understandable. But that's kind of what ska's all about. Is not about like even more than like the instruments and the horns and upstring playing and all. It's upstrumming. It's about like a community.
Yeah.
It's really, really about a community. And like every city that we would go to, there would be this community of ska kids, you know. Like a lot of other music kind of comes and goes, but the tight-knit community for the ska that kind of just gets passed on to generation and generation just kind of keeps it going. But it's definitely a community in a weird way.
Well, isn't that like with like Big D? It's like they aren't necessarily like well known across the country, but if you go to like Boston, like they got like a huge following. Like they got like a niche market, right? Like they're like celebrities there.
Yeah.
Like they got like one city, but it's like they're big in that one city.
They're massive in that city. They're also really, really big in Japan. I think they've been to Japan. Yeah, I think they've been to Japan twice, and they just like toured it for a while. And they were the first ska punk band from America to ever go to Japan. Like ska punk. Now there's been like a punk band that's gone to Japan before, but the first ska punk band to ever go there. And people had never heard like the horns and the instruments all used like that before in that style, not live. And so it was a huge deal when they went over there. So anyway, we did that show. That went pretty good. We filmed some interviews the next day. That was fun. And then we went to New York and can't remember exactly the town.
That's right. I forgot. You guys went all the way from Boston to fucking New York before
to Boston to New York, yeah.
Chicago to Boston to New York before I even got out there. And then you guys came all the way back from New York and met me in Baltimore. And then we went all the way back to New York again.
What did we go to New York for? I thought we went to New Jersey. Well, no, wait.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. I think it was New Jersey.
No, you missed New Jersey too.
Yeah.
Because we went to New Jersey to film the Storming of Ravenna, which, by the way,
Right.
I'm gonna shout out to this band right fucking now, because that band, the Storming of Ravenna, was a hardcore band in New Jersey, which it just so happened that it turned out that I had a really deep childhood connection with one of the members in the band that we never even knew. We had never even met each other, but through his brother, we had known each other through his brother, but his brother wasn't around. But we pulled up to his house, and I was like, oh my god, I've been here, I've stayed here, I've been around, I've been to this house before. But anyway, so they broke up, but they put out a new band. They came out with a new band, same members for the most part and everything, but they came out with this new band, and they're called Deal Casino, and they do some alternative rock music that's just, it's got, I don't know, it's got like it's an alternative rock with like I honestly don't know how to describe it, but they put out a single called 45, and they did a music video for it, and it slays. I mean, they did a great job with it. So you'll recognize the music video. You'll recognize the people in the music video, but yeah, it was. I'm so damn proud of those guys for just like, they went through between then and now, they went through college, and they, like, a lot of shit happened in their lives and all, and they still making music with the same people, you know, and that's just damn cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
So we did them. We did that other band in New York, Floral Terrace, and I don't know what the hell happened with them, but something crazy, some huge fallout. I heard that one of the guys got, like, they were on a tour, and they got into a huge argument, and two of the people in the band just got left stranded in a desert somewhere, and in Nevada, and so when I met up with them the next time, they were like, "Oh yeah, fuck those guys." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." So it was really cool to see one of the bands really come out, and now with iArrival to be out on their way. But we did like 8 or 9 different bands.
Yeah.
I don't want to go over every one of them, but it was a damn good way to learn how to shoot.
Yeah.
I'll absolutely say that. It was a damn good way to learn how to shoot, how to coordinate, how to light. I mean,
how to just like throw yourself into something too,
Yeah.
you know? It's like, because that's what we had to do out of necessity to follow these bands. But I remember, like, one of the biggest takeaways was like the story that we didn't anticipate filming, you know,
What was that?
was that we were there just making a straight up documentary about up and coming musicians, right? That was the whole point of it. But as I took away, you took away, and Ivan took away, like, I think we all said it in like the little trailer that we made, you know, was that kind of from following them, from watching them, kind of reinstilled our own passion, you
Yeah.
know, in the filmmaking. So it's like they're doing music and we're doing, you know, film, but it's like kind of similar in a sense, you know. It's like it's different, but like that passion similar. It's artistic, it's creative, and it's like we really kind of, or at least I'll speak for myself, like got reinvigorate, or like, you know, just seeing these musicians, like the passion that they had for what they were doing,
yeah,
kind of like reinstilled that thought in myself, like, oh, and this is why I am a filmmaker, you know, is because of this love of creation and this love of just doing what I feel like I'm destined to do, no matter like how many fans I have, no matter anything else, you know. It's just, we saw like a parallel, you know. It's
Yeah.
like we almost became like the subject of our own documentary. It was weird, like we didn't even have any intention of that or any set out to do that, but it's like as we followed these people, we're like made its interesting connection with them, you know.
yeah. I mean, there was that one guy, Rob, that we filmed in Baltimore, that acoustic guy at that church. Remember
Yeah.
that? That was like that eerie kind of acoustic thing we did with him. Like that was the only guy who was like a single solo performing artist that was there. Everybody else was like, it was a group, it was a band, it was a bunch of people together in something.
Yeah.
But I think that's like the main way that we could relate with them, was that you're a team looking to accomplish something, and we were a team looking to accomplish something, and I just think that was I mean, I definitely not. You weren't just speaking for yourself there. Like that was for me as well. Like that was definitely the best learning experience, and definitely a great way to learn camaraderie outside of your own art.
Yeah. It was kind of just like, oh, this is why we do this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, because I think it comes faster with, like, musicians, where it's like, this is art, where it's like, film, it's like, okay, you might be trying to achieve some objective here or there, but it's like, then when you're filming musicians, it's like, all they're doing is, like, creating something to be enjoyed. Whereas, like, in film, you could create something to be enjoyed, or you could create, like, an instructional video or something. You know, like, there's a whole gambit of fucking things that you could do with film. But music is pretty much, like, there's one, like, goal. You know, it's, like, entertainment. And that's pretty much it, you know? It's, like, what other kind of music is there?
No, it's entertainment, but it's the self-expression within that entertainment as well.
Exactly, yeah. And so it was, like, not until we really were, like, following these musicians and focusing on them that we, like, really understood, oh, this is what we're about too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a damn good experience. I guess that kind of leads into, like, that was after college for you, right?
No, that was going into my senior year.
That was in your senior, okay.
Which was basically after college, because what the fuck did I do my senior year, right?
I don't know. You gotta tell me about that senior year. But I mean, do you think that? Granted, there are. I mean, there's multiple schools of thought of like college for filmmaking, yes or no. But do you think if you put yourself in it enough that you can? Like, looking back, do you think you could have spent your time better or no? Because I ask that question all the time.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question.
Since I didn't go, I'm always wondering, oh, what if? You know, like, because you know about theory of film and stuff like that so much better than I do. You really do. But I spend a lot more time, like, shooting itself and lighting itself.
Yeah. No, well, I think, but some of that theory and stuff was a little bit innate. That was just, like, how I saw movies. You know, I was just interested in, like, the stories they were telling and how they were trying to affect people. What I will say about film school, I mean, I'm still really glad I went. But I definitely think that it's overhyped, you know, or it's, like, not... I mean, I'll say it's, like, necessary depending on what you're trying to do, right? What you're trying to accomplish. So,
for example?
For example, in terms of just being a good filmmaker, no. Not necessary. Not necessary at all. But for what I wound up doing, which is working for a non-film-centric company, right? So I work for the credit union of a healthcare company. You know, no place in film or those kind of arts. But they still require someone to film, to, you know, create commercials or, you know, whatever.
Right.
So, but to work for a company like that, you have to have a fucking college degree. They're not going to hire you if you don't have one. So to get a job like that, it is necessary.
Right.
But to become a good filmmaker, no, it's not necessary at all. In fact, how I really honed my skills was after college. It wasn't until I actually bought my 5D and really practiced with it.
I remember the fucking, as soon as you got that thing, you were like,
oh man, I was a kid with a fucking toy. And here's the thing, it was funny. When I was in school, I stayed away from, you know, the cinematography classes because I initially saw that as something that was outside of myself. I saw that as a technical, you know, mindset, whereas I saw myself as more, I'm just, you know, a storyteller. So, like, I took class, when I was in film school, I took screenwriting classes and I took editing classes because, to me, those were the two that, you know, that shaped the story. It's like the pre-production and the post-production end. while I was intrigued with actual production, that's so beyond me. It was really like a lack of confidence, you know.
Really?
I just felt, well, there's f-stops, you know, lighting, sound, all this kind of engineering or mechanical shit, you know, that I'm not that kind of person. I like interesting characters. I like making people feel emotion, but like I don't know how to fucking do this technical stuff, you know.
But when you started out with like with a camera in hand, right? Like when you started out going to not Missouri, when you went into that state when you were Oklahoma.
Yeah,
you started out going to Oklahoma with kind of like a camera in hand, right?
Yeah, it was like just a regular camcorder, you know, point and shoot. Like
Right.
It was, you know, mini DV, whatever. And I never was the one to actually even hold it. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
I was just there, so I was not behind to like setting up the shots and stuff. I was just there with helping up with story ideas or character ideas or acting in it or whatever. So yeah, I was actually just afraid of that production shit, you know. So it's like it
It's
wasn't
too bad because you turned out to be damn good at it too. You know?
yeah, I know, but it wasn't until like out of necessity where like I realized, so I got all these ideas for story and screenplay, but like who the fuck is gonna shoot them? You know,
Right.
like, well, I guess I have to shoot them myself. And then you know, the same thing with editing. Well, like what things am I gonna edit? Well, I guess I have to shoot those things too. So it's like I had to bridge the gap between pre and post production with actually being the one to produce things.
Yeah.
So, everything that I really got good at, that I, you know, in terms of like what makes me hireable, was stuff that I learned out of school when I bought my camera and like I had no training. It was just me figuring out, okay, this is how you shoot at this kind of light and, you know, whatever. It's like, I just learned out of, it wasn't like I really thought it through, like, okay, this f-stop, this ISO, this whatever. It was just like, okay, I do these things, and then this is what looks good. That's why I'm like not even confident that I could shoot well on like any camera. I just know my camera now, you know, because that's what I learned on the 5D. So that's why like I really like shooting on the 5D because I'm comfortable with it.
Right, but it's not like a entire different language. It's just a different.
No, sure. But I just, like,
I
even
like
the
those.
fucking basic things like the settings, like, this is how you change the f-stop and change the ISO. And, you know, I'm just like, it's a comfort zone, you know? And I can make things look good or good enough on it. But, yeah, I mean, so, in terms of, like, is film school necessary? Again, I think it goes to, like, well, what's your end goal, you know?
Right.
That defines whether it's necessary or not. Like, I think it's good in terms of making connections. I think that's the main thing that college is about. Well, like, the two things. It's one, getting that piece of paper that makes you hireable, you know. I mean, not that you can't be hireable without it, but it, you know, again, depends on what you're going for. And then two, it's like, I met, you know, a lot of people that I really like and that I, you know, work with and stuff like that occasionally. So, yeah, it's like, it's a place to network, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of, like, becoming great, obviously some of the best filmmakers were, like, high school dropouts, you know? So...
But do you think you said it's good for networking, but do you think you still would have written Freebooters if you didn't go to DePaul?
I mean, I don't know if I would have, because the one... Well, I came up with the idea by myself, but who's to say that I would have done anything with it if I didn't have my writing partner to bounce the ideas off of, you know?
Do you think that provided you that much confidence as a writer to be able to have somebody to bounce ideas off?
Did the school provide me with the confidence?
Well, yeah.
I don't know if it was like that. The school.
I mean, in a generic way, like they provided the networking and stuff like
well,
that.
Well, in that particular case, my buddy Tim, who I wrote the story with, I met my freshman year. He lived in the dorm room next door to me, so it's like that's who I wrote Freebooters with. And while like maybe I came up with the idea on my own, it's like I wrote it with him. So I don't know if I would have. But, you know, because I've had a lot of ideas, you know, as like what could be a story that I've just also flushed away. And not even because they weren't good. It's just because it's like, well, whatever. I just forgot about them or I moved on or whatever. But like, I think I talked to him about this one, and then he also liked it.
Are there any ones in particular that you regret that you didn't make, that you're like, oh fuck, that could have been cool?
Well, yeah, there was the one right before Freebooters that we attempted that I really liked, that I thought was cool. We actually shot like one full episode and a half of a second episode.
Really?
And we had like 4 episodes written out that were like, I thought they were really funny, that Tim and I worked on together as well. And it was kind of a really self-reflective, like cynical look on myself and my friends and like where we're at in life. And the show was called Wasted. And it had
I remember this.
And it had kind of like multiple meanings, where it was like wasted in terms of like wasted opportunities, wasted time, and then the fact that we were also often drunk or whatever, and we were actually legitimately wasted. So the show was like, we kind of came up with the idea after watching some like indie films and stuff like that didn't have necessarily like a set direction. Like, we weren't into like having a conventional narrative, 3-act play or whatever. It was just like, let's just
How come? Is that because, I mean, that's the way it made sense to you guys to do it, or is it just because you were just like, fuck doing the structure?
Probably both, but my initial idea was like, we just wanted to make something that was kind of like true to life. And in our mind, it's like, life is just fucking life, There's no like, oh, so this has to happen because this happens. Like, so we want to go like totally against the grain. And so the whole concept was, we just have different characters having random conversations. So since it was a comedy, like that's what it was in its core. It's like, we just want to create different scenarios that were funny. And so while the show did connect from scene to scene, like overall, like you could also just randomly watch one scene or one episode and still take enjoyment out of it. Like, you didn't have to follow anything,
Yeah.
So, and then the other part of it was just like, we kind of wanted to blur that line since it was self-reflective. Like, there was a scene, like the opening scene, my character, who's like, was a bum and not going anywhere.
Is that because you had the long hair at the time?
Yeah, I did. And I had like grown out facial hair too. And I was just getting drunk in the beginning of the episode. And what's funny is like how we blurred the line was, I have a glass and I'm pouring straight vodka into the glass, and then I'm mixing some orange juice, so I'm creating like screwdrivers for myself, and then I'm taking shots, but like I made them like half and half. Like I was pouring like 4 shots worth of vodka into the glass. But how it blurs the line, because I was always fascinated about that. I'm like, well, so cinema is supposed to be, a representation of real life, right? Actors are trying to act like real people. So I had this whole draw to like, how close can we get to that? We're fictionalizing it, but we're also making it real. So in that first episode, I'm actually doing shots of real alcohol, and I'm actually getting drunk. So it's like, my character's getting drunk for the show, because my character's an alcoholic, but my character's based on me. And then I'm portraying this character, and then I'm doing real shots of vodka and getting actually drunk on camera.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. And we have like funny different storylines and stuff. And like what we shot, I really liked, but it was hard to get everyone together,
Yeah, it seems to be the hardest thing is like getting enough people to like, or even one other person to be like, I give a fuck about this enough. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like
and
I will. And you know what the sad fucking thing about it is?
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's just fucking sad. Is that, and if you take offense to this when I say this, not you, Adam, but anybody who's listening, then good. But the fact is that people would rather sit on their ass and watch Netflix than go make a film, than write something, than to actually do something. Because it's comfortable, And when you start writing, you have to self-reflect on, like, if you're basing a character off yourself, which I think in a lot of cases a lot of writers do, then you have to self-reflect on, well, why did I make that choice, or why did he make that choice, and then you end up seeing that in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's much more comfortable to just shoot. It's hard to get people to be like, oh yeah, dude, we'll film this, we'll come out here for the entire day or whatever for 2 weekends. Getting somebody to commit to something for 1 weekend is hard enough, you know?
Especially if you don't have money to pay them or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause that's
yeah.
really fucking hard too. It's like you only have so many hours a week, and so many of those hours have to be spent earning income, right? Because you got to survive.
Right.
And then you have another amount of dedicated hours for, you know, to have fun, because if you don't have fun, you're gonna go fucking insane.
That's
so it's like
that's why I've been going fucking insane, by the way.
yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean that's when you have to freelance, like, you gotta force yourself, right, to work crazy hours, because at least where, like, I can fall back on is, like, I got the 40-hour work week, so it's like,
Yeah, you know
they
it's
structure
coming.
in time, so it's like I know it's coming, but I know it's ending. Whereas, like, you, it's like I may have to put in all this amount of time right now because I don't know if I'm gonna have another gig. Like, I don't know when the next gig's gonna be. So
Yeah.
it's like you gotta. So, and sometimes it's freeing to be a freelancer, but then sometimes you're also like a slave to the gig.
Yeah,
So
that's definitely true. I mean, there's cool things and there's things that suck about it too. Like, I would say tonight to tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be working on finishing up editing that reel for that presenter, and then after that, tomorrow morning, like, I got 2 more days of editing actually ahead of me, but after that, like, I don't have any work for 2 weeks, which means I can focus all my time on my own shit, which is good. But then it's like May coming up, I have nothing booked for May. June, on the other hand, is like completely booked solid. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like, well, what if, and this might not come through, and all that type of shit. So I mean, it sucks, but it gives you like a larger amount of free time. It's the same amount of free time, just restructured. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's easier for me to stay focused on something for days in a row than like do it on a weekend, do it when you get home from work, you know, whenever you have time. But I mean, I don't know, like I want you to crack up freelancing to be like all like insanely hard, because once you find like a couple companies that like your work, then you're really just kind of, I don't want to say an employee, but you kind of work for them regularly enough that you know that you're going to have some work coming in. So it's not like I think as a freelancer, you scramble for work like crazy in the beginning, but then after that initial like, oh, holy shit, okay, now I've got my head on straight. Now I know that, you know, there's these companies who enjoy working with me, and when they need work, they'll come to me. But I mean, it's not always that hard starting, or it's not always that hard after you've been doing it for a while. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Really quick, let's not even stop it, but I'm about to piss my pants. I'll leave it running, recording,
Okay.
so we don't even have to re-edit it, but I'll
Yeah.
just be back in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. Go.
You know what's sad is that I'm only really hydrated when I'm fucking drinking alcohol. I only piss clear when I'm drunk. It's good if you piss clear, I think.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, dude, I
And-
drink 3 of these Nalgene's a day, and that's 9 glasses of water. Like, you gotta make sure you do, dude. You'll notice you're like, people don't make it a priority because like it's a subtle, slow change, but like once your body's been hydrated for a while, you're like, holy shit! Like, I feel like I'm like, actually my body can work the way it's supposed to work now.
Yeah.
You know.
So wait, the scenery change, did it not?
Yeah, I moved into the office and
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. You got a nice place, man. You got like a fucking
Yeah.
window and a desk.
Yeah, it's a nice window to watch all the crimes go down at. Every now and then there'll be like something that goes on in front of our house, and like Jess and I'll just sit up at her desk up here and to just like eat Chinese food and watch people get arrested or something.
Wow.
It's just so yeah, it's a nice window.
Man, that's great. And you said Mark Maron lives in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah, I mean he lives like kind of in a tucked back area, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious. Seems like you see some interesting shit. Why would some guy like that, who probably makes a decent amount of money at least, then be in the same kind of
It's a community, I mean, like,
Yeah.
granted, like he's not Beverly Hills rich, but I mean, like,
Yeah, sure.
but I mean, at the same time, it's like, yeah, he could probably move to Eagle Rock, or maybe not Eagle Rock, but like that's a little, maybe even a downgrade. But like he could move to like Silver Lake or some nicer area or something like that. But I think it's the neighborhood, dude. I think he digs on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because Highland Park is a pretty fucking cool area. I mean, it started getting safer for people who are my color skin, because it was not the case when we first moved here. But I mean, I think it's getting better. I think there's some really good changes going on and all too. Some of it you see the culture start to go and all, but it's like that's what happens. Neighborhoods move into each other, and then once this neighborhood moves out of here, they're going to move into a different neighborhood. So you see a lot of people pissed off about that too, like about the fact that it's getting quote unquote better, because they'll just there was actually like a literal march of people like putting up like fake eviction notices and stuff like that on places that were new coming in. But it's like, okay, you put a fake eviction notice on the new yoga studio that opened up, but you won't put a fake eviction notice on the brand new skate shop that just opened up, or the really nice new grocery store that just opened up that's like owned by a Mexican family. Like you won't put it up on there. So what? It's like only the new stuff is like only the new like white people stuff the bad stuff, or is it like, is there a difference or what? And I mean, it's just a culture change, and it happens all the time. There's so many neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Everybody thinks who doesn't come here really very much has this idea that it's like all other cities and that it's just a fucking city and just planted there, when really it's spread out. It's like a gigantic suburbia. It's really what Los Angeles is like. It's like a gigantic suburbia.
Yeah.
Built up suburbia, but still. So yeah, that's what this room looks like. Kind of went off on a rant there. But it's cool because Mark Maron films his TV show like literally in Highland Park. So when Jess and I watch Maron, we're like, oh my god, that's like the grocery store we go to, or that's like we walked past there the other day or something like that. So it's kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah.
It is kind of cool that you're like actually in the scene. You're like actually in a location where I feel like stuff's happening. There's relevant people. There's relevant things happening.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, now I'm out I was living in the city, which was fun. But even then, it was kind of just a drunk haze, whatever. And now I'm even more far removed in the burbs of the city. And I'm just, I don't know what's happening.
You know what, dude? Like I said it when I said it on the introduction podcast too. I'll say it here. Like anything I've picked up on or I learned out here, I could have done in Chicago. Like for the most part, I just would have had to know like kind of where to look and like not who to talk to as much, but just to be persevering. Because I mean, we were at the point where it was like, I mean, how are we gonna pay for rent? So when you're at the point of how am I gonna pay for rent, and the best way that you can, the most likely hireable way that you're gonna be able to make money is by doing what you came out here to do, because you're already like in that destination and everything. So when it's like, I need to get work in or I can't pay the rent, then you do things and you find ways to find jobs that you would have never even thought of if you were just like, Yeah, I'll look, I'll dabble, whatever. So, I think that helped a lot with finding work out here and stuff. But I mean, even then, there was there was quite a few times where like I would get freelance work out here, and I'd just get totally fucked over on it. I'd get totally fucked over. Um, I won't go into it too far, but I edited this feature, shittiest fucking movie that I've ever seen in my entire life, and it was like 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, 30 days. I said I'd have a project done, and like delivered and all that stuff. And they were like, "Oh, that's great." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fucking great because I have rent due in 1 month and I need to have this done." And they're like, "All right, well, we'll pay you $1,000 to do it." And I'm like, "Well, $1,000 to edit a shitty feature is hardly anything, but all I'm doing is splicing footage, so I can do that." And so I went ahead and I did it, and I turned the film in. Or no, I'm emailing with the guy about to, like talking to him where we're gonna meet up. I'm like, "Oh yeah. And you got the check, right?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean, no?" I'm like, "Where'd you fucking put it?" And he's like, "No, it's a deferred pay gig." And basically, deferred just means no. Like deferred pay means that when the movie sells,
Yeah.
then and when we get paid, then we'll pay you. It's like, no, you won't, and the movie won't sell because it's a giant piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you run into shit like that with freelancing, where having a regular full-time job would be really fucking nice.
Yeah, I ran into a situation similar to that where we went to the south side of Chicago to go to the Beverly Arts Theater, and there was this guy who had this film, right? And I didn't really know much about it. And I saw the trailer, and it looked like all right from the trailer. But you always know, the trailer only shows the absolute best. It only has to be 2 minutes long, and it shows the best 2 minutes of the whole fucking film.
Yeah, and
right?
generally
So
they tell the beginning, the middle, a little bit of the middle, and the end of the film in the entire trailer anyway.
It looked interesting.
That's
enough.
a rant I'll save for later.
Yeah, but basically, they hired me to come in for the premiere. It was a premiere of this movie, and they just wanted some press or whatever. They wanted people filming the reactions or post interviews and stuff like that. I was game, whatever. It was like $100 or $200 just for a night. But then I showed up, and there were 8 other fucking film people who found the same thing and showed up. I'm like, all right, why the fuck? They would not need this. One, they would not need this many people, and two, they would not pay this many people.
That's true, yeah.
And $200 for 8 people, because it was it was a small indie film.
Yeah.
So it seemed way out of budget, way out of character. And then we found out after being there that it was that exact same thing you were saying. This was a premiere indie-wise. If it gets picked up and makes, then we'll get paid on the back end. So I didn't read the fine print. But all of us were like, that's fucking bullshit. And actually 2 of the people left right away. But me and the rest of the people were like, man, we already made the fucking journey out here. We might as well just chill and just see what's up. And then we fucking watched the film, right? Went to the thing. Because we were there where the premiere
how
was
nice of
gonna
them to let you watch the movie, too.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to be there for the 15 minutes before and basically the 15 minutes after. You know, that was what they wanted us there for. And man, when we watched the fucking film, I was, after about the first 5 minutes, this was definitely a waste of time because this fucking piece of shit is not getting picked up by anything.
Did you walk out?
No, because part of me, I was already committed because I already wasted the time coming out there, and then part of me just wanted to now I'm just gonna seek my own personal enjoyment out of how terrible this fucking thing is. It's kind of like watching those movies that are so bad they're good kind of thing. And so that's what I got out of it, and that's where I, to me, I chalk it up as an interesting experience. But yeah, this is totally fucking bullshit. Also, the subject matter they were hitting on was stuff that was really, really serious, really heavy drama.
Yeah.
And I especially when I first started out with filmmaking, I always steered away from drama. I mean, I love drama, you know, but I feel like if you're gonna do drama, everything needs to be airtight because otherwise it'll be laughable. The
Yeah.
filming, the cinematography needs to be good, the acting needs to be good, the writing needs to be good, the editing needs to be like everything needs to be good.
The
Otherwise
lighting needs to be good too.
yeah. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the lighting needs to be good, definitely. Everything needs to be good. Otherwise, it becomes, oh, you tried to go for this, and then you fell short and you fail. You know,
Yeah.
and then it just becomes a joke. I feel like the pressure's much higher for that. You know, not to say that obviously with a comedy, you know, you need to be funny, and you can definitely fall short and fuck that up too. It's really easy to do. But I feel like at least with a comedy, as long as the writing's good and the acting's decent, then everything else could probably be shit. Or, you know, like, not great. You'd still pass.
Yeah, you can still get away with it.
You can still get away with it. For comedy, it's like, are the jokes there doesn't make me laugh. Where it's
Yeah.
like, for drama, everything needs to be good. Otherwise, if they fucking laugh, then that means you fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, the only comedy that I've ever seen lit like a drama was Will Ferrell did a movie called Semi-Pro.
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw that?
Yeah.
That was like the only movie I've ever seen that was lit like an actual drama, but but there was a hesitance to laugh almost because of that. Like, I dug on it. It was cool, but there was a hesitance to just kind of laugh almost, maybe kind of like a subconscious thing, because it just wasn't what you're used to, which is not a good thing in a personal reflection, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like, if it looks too professional, it almost takes you out of the comedy.
Not
Is that
professional,
kinda-
just dark. Because it was kind of
okay.
lit. It was kind of lit dark.
Ah.
You know, like a lot of comedies are lit very Seinfeld, very flat lit.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know. And it's just
Everything's...
no shadows
set up.
anywhere, and like, yeah.
Hmm.
So to be able to kind of see that in a different light was definitely interesting. What's coming out? Maybe not movie wise, but like what's coming out right now that you're doing that you're actually excited about? Anything
Well-
that's coming up in film, or anything that's coming out in movie, or anything that you're doing personally?
Well, I guess the one thing that I'm working on, like, you say coming out as in like it's happening soon, so that's where I had my hesitancy because I'm like, I don't know when the fuck this is ever happening, but the one thing that I am working on, it's keeps the creative juices going, is, as we touched on, that one show Freebooters, which is a sci-fi comedy web series that I kind of came up with the general idea, and then me and my friend Tim co-wrote the 10 short episodes together. So they're about like 10 to 15 screenplay pages long, so 10 to 15 minutes long each episode. So basically all together it's about like one feature-length film, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm working at, like, we created a promo video, which I'm really, like, proud of overall. The main thing is, like, we just need to find a graphic designer who's on board with, like, you know, not getting paid a lot of money, at least up front. Because, like, the
But it
thing
would be
is, like,
deferred pay for whenever the film's
yeah,
done.
deferred pay, yeah. So I gotta find some, like, college student graphic designer who doesn't know what that means entirely. No, I mean, I'm not trying to, like, fuck anyone over. I think
No,
that,
you're. I think you're kind of the last person to kind of lead somebody on, especially in that
yeah.
regard.
Well, I'm especially, well, one reason is, you know, because maybe you could say, like, I'm a nice guy, but probably the more realistic reason is I can't really outsmart someone that way. You know, but, I mean, that's hard enough fucking thing to sell. It's like, hey, man, you want to get on this sci-fi comedy web series? It's totally going to launch your career. Like, I mean, come on. Like, let's be fucking honest. I mean, but then again, as we talked before, I'm not making this to, like, impress people or to get like big. You know, it's just it was a story that I really liked, and the one reason. So the main reason we chose the genre of sci-fi was because, as a writer, you know, we're always limited, it seems, by like locations, right? You know, so it's like I want to write a show or whatever. Like, okay, so we have an outside shoot. What are we gonna do? Like, close down the street? We're gonna pay to have that happen? You know, hey, we have this area now. No, so it's like, hey, I had the idea. Like, wait a minute, if we do everything on a fucking green screen, right? Then we automatically close down the shoot, right? Like, we have that location, and then that one location can become any fucking location. So that's honestly the main reason why, like, I was drawn towards sci-fi. Wasn't, I mean, and I am nerdy, and I do like sci-fi, but it's not like I'm a huge I'm not a Trekkie. I'm not a huge sci-fi nerd. But it was mainly just because I'm like, holy shit, we can do whatever we want. We're not limited. So
if you were not limited, if you had like full budget and stuff, you think you would have written a pretty different film?
Well, I mean, I already have. I've written a bunch of different screenplays.
No, I mean, but like when you started off with this kind of idea, or was it like, oh, it's like we can do a sci-fi movie here, so let's write a sci-fi thing about it?
Yeah, no, honestly, like I was tired of writing things that I knew that I was never gonna make because I had no way of making them, whether it was just budget or means to. So, I mean, as much as now looking at Freebooters, I love it as not just that genre. Like I just like it as a show, not as like, oh, it's a good sci-fi show. Like, no, I think it's a good standalone show. But it's like I probably would have not settled on it because I'm not a super sci-fi geek. Had it not been to the convenience of, or not convenience, but not being limited to locations. You know, like honestly, I would have probably initially started out with something that was much more relatable because I'm always a big believer on like write what you know. So like I would have written a story that was probably more loosely based on like my life or people I know lives, you know, where it's like, so how I bridged that gap with Freebooters was it's sci-fi, so it's like obviously it's fantasy, it's nothing's real, but it's like even though it's all imaginary, the characters that I still created for the show were kind of based on people I knew or encountered. So
right.
That's where I drew that connection. But yeah, otherwise, like, the show wouldn't have existed if it weren't for the concept that would be the only show with, like, absolutely no fucking budget that I could create.
Right.
But now, after having created it, I do think it's a good show, and I think it's probably better than anything else I could have written without that confinement. So it's funny. It's like I was confined to writing this show because I thought I had to do it out of necessity, and now looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is way better than anything else I would have done. So it's kind of it's interesting how that all panned out. But I mean, I don't know, the whole idea of like actually completing it though. It's like I said, I need that graphic designer because I could do just about almost everything. Like I came up with the concept, I helped write it, I acted in it, I filmed it, I edited it, I had the green screen. I even learned how to do like After Effects and special effects to like phase out the green screen, put stuff in the background. But like the only thing I'm paused at is creating like the photorealistic scenery, imagery. And it's just like, I gotta find someone to do that. But I've just
do you think this is just another idea? I don't know if you've had this idea yet or not, but like, instead of filming it, have you ever thought about turning it into a cartoon?
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought of turning it to a number of mediums just because I like the story that much. Like, I thought of even making, like, a book, like, where it would require even no filming because at my core, I'm a writer. And while, I would love to see it adapted to cinema, I just want, like, the story to exist in any art form. So, yeah, no, I'm not opposed to that. I'm just, not only I'm not really a good graphic designer, I'm also a fucking shitty illustrator. So it's like
a fair point, but I mean, and I guess at the same time, it is like well, where's the cartoon shop to go hire somebody to make the
Right.
cartoon?
So
and
it's the
everything?
same fucking thing. It's like
Yeah.
I gotta find a graphic designer to create the backdrops for the shit we're shooting on green screen, or find a cartoonist, you know. But I don't know. Like I just really wanted to do it to kind of prove to myself that I could, you know, that like the art and creativity hadn't died, and that I was still capable of coming up with things.
Yeah.
And I created the promo.
Was that a fear? Was that kind of a fear that you had, or what?
I wouldn't say fear. It was just like maybe just something to prove, you know, like and so I just my goal was like I knew regardless whether we're continuing it or whether we're giving up on it, we're going to need some sort of promo, some sort of pitch where we just show like what the show could be in like a minute or two. So we created this little promo, and that's like I wanted at least that to show that I had the capability, you know, of doing this. And then how I saw it was we can go from we could continue on. It's like I'm not giving up, like I'm not going to let it die forever. But it's like I just need to like step back and take a break cuz like I was so fucking drained after doing that. Cuz I kind of got in a fight with Tim, my friend, and so I didn't really like have him backing me. And while I was making it, you know, and then it was like, so I was on my own. I was working the 40 or sometimes more hours per week, and I was really just doing this in my free time, and I had no one else supporting me or like no one else saying like, you know, aside from you, you know, because you were really supportive, but otherwise it was just
Granted,
like,
I was on the other side of the country.
yeah, and you were on the fucking in a different fucking time zone too.
Yeah.
So it's just like the drive to like continue working on something that I'm really, other than like personal enjoyment, not getting anything out of, was really hard. So it's like I just want to finish the promo, prove to myself I can do it, and then I just got to take a break, you know, and then like hopefully casually or whatever find a graphic designer and find someone else who's like as enthusiastic about it as me, and then bring it back to life, you know, because I
Yeah.
feel like just because I'm stopping doesn't mean it's dead forever, but it's
Yeah.
like we can come back to it. But it's like for right now, like in the immediate sense, like I can't pour more into it because I've poured almost, I pour more than what I was gonna say everything I got, but like I went above and beyond and learned other things that I didn't know how to do just for that fucking thing. Like I learned about 3D modeling. I created a fucking spaceship. Like I worked with Cinema 4D and Blender and stuff. And these are all things that I never even touched on just to like try to breathe life into this project. And it's like after that, it's like I just need someone else. You know, I can learn and do all the work I want, but at the end of the day, movies aren't made by one fucking person. You know, like it's a fucking crew. So it's
Yeah.
like I got to be fair to myself, you know, and I got to find someone else to help me with this.
Even if it's a crew of one or two, if it's a crew of like 2 or 3
Yeah.
people, you know, like that's the
Yeah.
thing that wrecked me with like the Edge of Grip was it was a documentary, so it was easier. It wasn't like something I had to write out or anything, but you get burnt out like after shooting so much, and then it's just like okay, I just want a minute before I start editing, and then you edit, and then you're like, oh god, I can't fucking edit this shit anymore. I wish I could go back to shooting, and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, I mean it's tough going it yourself. I mean, but I mean, what's the alternative? Is that it just doesn't get made. You know?
Exactly.
And I think
mean,
that's what pushes us.
That's the whole reason why I learned how to fucking film. That's the whole reason why I learned of my 5D was because I wanted to make something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if I thought I, you know, could just do it as a screenwriter or whatever, I probably would have settled with that.
Yeah.
But like I knew it's like, well, the only way you can make it as a screenwriter is if you have like a fucking agent and, you know, or you have some connections, and, you know, it just goes from there. You can't just write fucking something. Like how am I, you know, I was bad enough as a freelancer just getting fucking steady wedding gigs, let alone
Right.
getting someone to see my, you know, script and like buy it and whatever, you know, do anything with it. But that's why now I just, like I said, it's not about seeking any kind of fame or glory. It's just I I really just truly want to create something that's I find fun doing, and that other people, some other people, even if it's only fucking 5 other people, 20 other people, enjoy. You know that. Because I know that while I do have a peculiar taste, maybe, and I'm a little offensive and abrasive to people who just meet me, you know, well, really, like, underneath, I am a softie, and I think I'm a nice guy. But aside from that, my work and whatever can get a little intense, but I feel like there is definitely other people who must share, like, my same kind of, you know,
There's 7
likes
billion
and stuff.
people in the world. There's quite a few, I'm sure, that would be interested in it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, when we showed, when we had our neighbors and some of our friends over, and I showed the Edge of Grip on that documentary I did. I showed it, like, on my computer monitor, just, like, played through it. I was like, after it ended, I was like, it just served its purpose.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, fuck, that's why I did all this. You know, so the story could be told to other people. And I completely forgot about that. I forgot about the entire purpose of what the film was. And I didn't even realize, I was so ignorant to realize that happens at the writing stage too.
Well, and it's not even the purpose of the film, it's your purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like, your purpose, my purpose, is to share stories or ideas or whatever in a kind of narrative way, you know, a way that can intrigue other people.
Yeah.
I
mean, overall, I think, like, kind of defining it down to one thing is kind of, you know, self-defeating to define your life down to a single purpose, but, like,
or I should have said a purpose,
right,
not
but,
the
but
purpose. Yeah.
But it's late, and I'm just kind of jabbering. So, yeah, it is weird though, because, like, there are actual TV shows that are now filming on DSLRs. And it's like, yeah, like, I think Marin is. I'm pretty positive it is. And I know Wilfred was. And Wilfred was 4 seasons on FX. And, like, you start seeing, like, okay, they said we weren't able to do it because it was a money thing. Okay, well, things are getting cheaper. It's like, okay, they said that we couldn't do it because it was a camera thing. It's like, okay, but now they're using the same cameras as us. And it's like, now what's the reason that we can't make our own films? And I think that, just coming back to that sitting on the couch or go make your own film point, and it's just that there's no reason that we can't do this now, aside from the fact that, you know, it just takes time and it takes work, and you got to get off your ass and just fucking work.
Yeah.
But we can do it. You just got to work harder than the studios do, just because the studios have the connections to be able to send this person to go do that. And we don't have that luxury. But at the same point, I think I didn't realize this until right now, and I don't know, I think down on myself a lot, but I just kind of thought that I made that film. I haven't helped film and pull focus, like, here and there, but, like, that film was more my film than anything I've ever seen before, or anything that anyone's ever seen. They've never seen a film that was more my film than that film right there. And that's, like, your thing with Freebooters, dude. Like, there's never been a script written that's been more yours than yours. So I just hope you find somebody to work on it. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I could at least continue on when there was, like, really no other hope or backing.
Yeah.
And you know, now that I reached, like, that first step with, like, okay, at least accomplish this, I'm confident enough that if I could get this far without anything, you know, off the ground, then, like, you know, I'm sure more will come of it.
Yeah. Are you thinking about, like, would you ever think of kickstarting it or anything like that, or no?
Yeah, I that's the next plan. Like, that's why the promo was created. I just want a graphic designer to create original background artwork, you know, because I really just like took stuff from, you know, the internet or whatever. So like I just want like I'm really close to like being able to kickstart it. It's just like I need that, you know,
last piece.
That artwork. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one last piece. Like I could do so much. I might not even saying like what. Like I'm not trying to be arrogant. Like I'm not saying like I'm a fucking perfect at all this shit. I'm just saying like I can do at least all this stuff to some capacity, except for the fucking graphic design shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can fucking, you know, write it, shoot it, special effects it, edit it, act in it. Even if it's all just mediocre, fine, whatever. It's fucking mediocre. It's
that
all
if
fucking
there
there.
are any mediocre graphic designers and you hear this,
I don't. Yeah, just
if you
hit
have
me
any
up.
interest whatsoever, contact Adam Biley
Yeah.
on his Twitter page.
I don't even remember what that is.
Yeah, you gotta start using that.
Yeah,
we both
so I've been
do.
told. No, I know. I feel like I would be like a good person for Twitter, like my mindset, because it's like I do have random rants and random like things to just say for no fucking reason, which
Yeah.
I think is like what Twitter's kind of designed for.
It's kind of the definition of it, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't, because I don't know every aspect, because like I'm not automatically like a master of it, you know, like I don't understand every aspect of Twitter. That's what like gives me pause. It's like I said before, it's like I don't like playing a fucking friend at a video game that I can't kick his ass in, you know, or not even necessarily kick his ass in, but at least like be like comparable in, you know, like I just don't like looking like an idiot, because it happens fairly often. So anytime that I could avoid that, I'm all about that.
Dude, you've got to talk to somebody about that, because you went through and learned Cinema 4D. You went through and learned all this other shit to do, like, to throw this film together and all. And you're like, Twitter? Nah, I don't know it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
I'm a writer and I have a shit ton of stuff to say every day that I just think and just get these ideas in my head. And I'd like to write them out, but...
Yeah, you're right. I fucking suck, man. What a douchebag. Someone should fucking slap me upside the head.
No, you're
was I
not,
thinking?
but it's just...
No, I kind of am. But I mean, there's worse douchebags.
No,
That's
there's
what I
always
say.
worse douchebags.
I'm a self-aware douchebag.
I'm a
So that counts for something.
self-defeating douchebag. Oh, damn. Every time I don't know. You want to cut it here?
If you want, I could keep rolling.
If you keep
whatever.
rolling, I saw it looked like you were fading a little bit.
Oh,
And
no,
I had to kind of sit up. I played some music in my headphones too, like while we're talking and everything, to kind of juice me up and shit.
No,
Yeah.
I just always look like I'm kind of fading. That's just my... That's just me, man. No, but other interesting points of conversation.
Shoot, give me what you got.
Well, I think what's kind of cool though, in this is then stepping back and going like very general, like our kind of friendship, you know,
Yeah.
like how it initiated, and you know, over the years we've changed and we're not the same people we were back then. But if I'm looking backwards and I'm looking at like how we were back then, it's even more interesting, you know, that we were friends, because I was like crazy, like ultra like liberal, not even knowing why I'm liberal. I'm just like, I have long hair and I like smoking weed or whatever. I'm fucking liberal, you know, like that's it. I'm like, I'm cool with gay people getting married and stuff, and I'm like, that's what it means to be liberal, right? And like, fuck the church. Yeah, it's not, like, I don't know, like it's just I basically like I saw Easy Rider, and then I'm like, oh, like that was like the most political thing to me was like I saw the like Southern hick people murder the hippies, and I'm like, holy fuck, man, that's what it is. Like that's
The
like
fact that you threw "man" on the end of that sentence just makes it so much better.
I know. Well, I'm trying to get back into the mindset that I was then. Because, like, I look at, like, pictures of me from then, and I just laugh at myself. I'm like, you know, I look at, like, 16-year-old Adam, right? This is fucking decade ago, which is even insane. Think of that, right? And I'm like, man, you know, or Adam. You know, like,
There was some flashbacks, dude.
I know, I'm having fucking flashbacks. But I was like, you know, I get it, man. I get it that you're, you know, frustrated. You're fucking living in the suburbs, and you got to be like all liberal and rebellious and shit. But it's like, you know, you can be that on the inside. You don't have to fucking grow your hair out and like wear fucking Baja hoodie and look like you're from fucking Woodstock. Like you don't have to, you know. But I guess when you're like that age, you're just looking to like something to belong to. Like you're looking at something to like identify with.
Yeah.
So it's like I was just like, well, I like the hippie mentality, so I guess I want to be a hippie. But now I look at it and I'm like, that's fucking like what a fucking joke, you know? Like I just laugh at myself. I look at old pictures of myself. I'm like, you fucking dumbass. But what's funny about that is that I came from like this place of being like really like fucking liberal and being really unreligious and kind of at that time, though I'm not anymore, like I was like basically like an atheist more because again out of like rebelliousness or whatever and stuff, and I wasn't like vibing on the you know like what I saw like the religious and like conservative right was more about I saw it as again like stereotypical, like these are like rules, you must follow rules and stuff. And I'm like, fuck rules, man. I don't wanna get on your fucking Jesus and you know saving sex for marriage and condoms kind of shit, man. Like fuck that. I wanna. Then again, like I wasn't getting laid anyways because the funny thing was. You know, also that's another thing I see, like I totally jumped. Like I went like I'm not helping myself out in that regard. Because I started out where like I was really like shy, you know, and I didn't know how to like talk to girls, right? And so that was a problem. And now it's like I found no fucking middle ground. I went to like the extreme opposite where now I just say whatever the fuck is on my mind, and now it's like too much. And now like you know, so before, like, women didn't get a sense of who I was, and they were, like, not interested. And now they're like, well, fuck this over, like, talkative fucking asshole who says offensive shit. Now they're not interested in a whole nother way. I'm like, never found that middle ground. But anyways, but I went on a tangent. But going back to, like, what's interesting about our friendship.
And I think it's really interesting. I'm going to cut you off for a second.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you're so far one way and I'm so far the other way.
Well, that was then, at least.
Well, I don't know I guess I don't know where you stand now.
I don't know where I fucking stand now. I mean, but I'm talking about, like, then, which that was, what was funny, was because I was so, like, fucking liberal and, like, atheist, I guess, at the time. And you were, like, more conservative and more religious and stuff.
Yeah.
But what was cool though was that even though we were like normally like those two kind of people wouldn't not only get along but not probably fucking be friends, but like we became like best of friends because of other things, you know, like other interests and whatever. And I think just like because you know politics and fucking religion and all that stuff is one aspect of a person, but like you go deeper, you go to like you know just your beliefs, like who you are at your core, right?
Yeah, no.
And I think that's where you and I are very similar because we're kind of like we're thinkers, we're artists, whatever. And so all this other shit that should have like made us enemies, which would make everyone else enemies, like the rest of the fucking country. That's why they're all like lost and duped, is because they're all like, it's all about size. Where we don't really understand, like, we actually have more in common with each other, you know, than
Nobody
we
cares
think.
about that.
No one cares about that. but you and I connected on that other level of like philosophical filmmakers, you know, and like
Right,
I enjoyed my conversations with you, and I enjoyed just like being around you, even though like we had different mindsets and stuff, you know, at that time. Like now I see myself as like way more moderate. I don't consider myself an atheist in terms of like the religion thing. I don't know. Like that's what like I just think I do think there probably is a God, and I just feel like I'm not smart enough to comprehend or try to comprehend what that may or may not be. So
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave that up to that stuff, and when I die, then maybe I'll know. And otherwise, you know, I'm just gonna let that be. And,
Let that pot simmer.
let that pot simmer, and I'm just gonna try to do my thing right now. I'm just gonna try to focus on me,
Right.
and then God and I can connect later on in another life, maybe. And then when it comes to like the political shit, like I realized I called myself a liberal because it was more just of like what I thought was like cool, because like I came from that mindset of like, oh well, like conservatives are like, that's what like
That's
mom
what
and-
assholes are.
that's what like, or like, you know, old people are, or like, you know, if we're not into having fun, like, you know,
Right. Yeah.
whatever. And so I was just like, I want to like smoke weed and just not and swear, you know. that's like, so. It's not like I really understood what being like a liberal was. It was just
Yeah.
like I thought that was just like cool or whatever, or like, or you know. But now like I just consider myself kind of like moderate, I guess, because like I see. You know, positives on both sides, and I also see like our both sides are kind of like, you know, fucked up too, you know, or like misled or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
by
Oh,
by their
definitely.
leaders.
Yeah.
And I don't try to pretend like I know a lot. Like I'm not like one of those hipsters who are like, yeah, and you're all fucking sheep, man.
Once you start questioning people and like asking, well, what do you actually think about this and that? And when you give it a name other than are you pro-life, or are you pro-choice, or are you, you know, God, anything. Are you right-wing? Are you left-wing? Or what? And it's not, once you get past the stuff that they've actually not, or actually, once you get past the stuff that they've actually heard about, and you get to the stuff that's like at their core, people are pretty damn similar. Hey, thanks for taking a listen to Dying to Shoot. You can follow us on Twitter at MattMAT_DTS.
And Adam_DTS.